Russell Wilson trade rumors are heating up again, and now Denver may very well be in the mix. Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown. I'm your host, Matthew Peterson. We're going to talk about the latest report that links Russ potentially being traded to Denver. I'll give you a mock trade, I think what it could look like, and we'll really unpack this entire trade rumor as it was reported by Jordan Schultz earlier on Twitter just yesterday. Sources, Russell Wilson would strongly consider waiving his no-trade clause for the Giants, Broncos, and Saints. The big one is right in the middle, the Broncos, who I think this is a move of Russ wants to move to a nice, stable organization, and Denver offers that. They have won Super Bowls, and they've done it with a variety of coaches and quarterbacks. It's not just a tiny little run at one time. They have been consistent for a long period of time. But let me know this before we dive into it anymore. Would you want Russell Wilson? Y for yes, N for no. He's not having the best year this year. He's been hurt, no doubt about it. I'm absolutely in the Y category. But let me know what you're thinking down below. For me, it's yes. And then it's yes a million more times. This is Russell Wilson we're talking about. The rookie Pro Bowler went to the Super Bowl twice, one bad play call away from winning 2 Super Bowls. Listen, it's Russ. You got to let him cook, and let him cook in Denver for all I care, because Wilson is absolutely one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL when he's on his A game, and he's on his A game pretty much 7 days a week. He's having one bad year. Boo-hoo. Now, I personally think that his wife, Sierra, an artist, wants to leave the city of Seattle. I think last year in the offseason, there was some speculation that Russ may be requesting, or kind of requesting, but not officially requesting, maybe a trade to Chicago or New York. I'm not talking about the teams as much as the cities. I think it's a combination of he wants to play in a, not that Seattle's a small city, but a bigger and less Pacific Northwest rainy city, and with an organization that has proven to be successful. The Giants, the Saints, the Broncos. I think there's a reason why he didn't list other teams that are pretty crappy, like the Texans, for example, who just don't have a good head on their shoulders. It is worth noting that Russ is not a cheap guy. He does carry a decent cap hit, but if these teams did want to make a trade, this is what I think it could look like in terms of what teams could offer. So let's start things off with the Saints right there. They've got 8 total picks coming up in the 2022 NFL Draft. In the first 2 days, that's rounds 1, 2, and 3, they have 3 picks altogether. Not a lot you can really bargain with when you only have 3 picks in the most important days of the draft. Now the G-Men, they've got 10 picks total, and they have those 2 coveted first-round picks, one being of their own, which is looking like it's going to be a top 10 pick, along with the Chicago Bears pick, which also is looking like it's going to be around a top 10 pick. So that's a nice gift you could give Seattle for Russ. Finally, the Broncos. They have the most. They have 12 total picks, and they also have 5 picks in the first 2 days of the draft. However, they only have 1 first-round pick compared to the Giants, but they do have 2 seconds and 2 thirds from that Von Miller Rams trade. So they've got a little more wealth across the entire draft earlier on, but they only have that 1 first-round pick. And I think Denver's first-round pick is going to be worse, quote-unquote, because it's going to be further back than the Giants' pick. So that Giants' first 2 picks will be much more valuable than Denver's. So that's where the stock currently stands for those 2. Let me know this, though. Will Russell Wilson get traded? We're talking about him getting traded, but do you honestly think that number 3 is going to leave Seattle? I'm going to make this the pinned comment, so if you get hit with the YouTube ad break, go on down, scroll, reply to the pinned comment, then come back up when the ad break's over. Type your T for trade or P for pass. Let's go each team now a little more in depth. The Giants, they have the deepest draft pockets. They got those 2 first-round picks. They have a lot more to play with because at the end of the day, if you have 2 first-round picks, you got dealt pocket aces. You are the king of the castle, right? You have the best thing to work with. Now, the Broncos, they have something different. They don't have the deepest draft pockets, but they have the best available starters. If Seattle is looking to not only get picks, but by the way, Seattle, really bad at drafting. Okay, Rashard Penny, a first-round pick. They have not had tremendous success early in drafts. Russ has kind of carried them. I think that's kind of why he wants to maybe leave Seattle. So if you're the GM of the Seahawks, Schneider, I think, you're not that interested in draft picks because you probably know you're not very good at drafting. But the Broncos can offer a handful of starters, which the Giants really can't. They don't have a ton of proven talent like Denver does. Now the final team, the Saints. I really don't know what they can offer. They have the least draft capital of the three of them. They have the least cap space of the three of them. They don't have like expendable players, right? They have really good players. Maybe you give them Michael Thomas, but I don't know if Seattle wants Michael Thomas because he has hardly played in 2 years now. Not playing this year and barely played last year. So they just don't have a ton of poker chips at the table. What they do have is probably what Russ wants. I think the Saints are the closest away from winning a Super Bowl just because you have Sean Payton. You have your proven head coach. Meanwhile, the Broncos and the Giants, they're kind of teetering with, are they going to fire their coach? And does Russ want to join a team that is about to get a new head coach? Meanwhile, Sean Payton, he's won a Super Bowl. That's something Fangio or Judge cannot say. Broncos fans, if a trade does happen, believe us when I say we will be all over it here at the Broncos Breakdown. So make sure you are subscribed because here's the deal. If Russell Wilson gets traded to the Broncos, you are going to want to look for every little nook and cranny and crumble of Russell Wilson to the Broncos trade news. And we're going to have a video out ASAP as possible, ASAP Rocky. So make sure you hit that big red button and join the channel. I think the only measuring stick we really have to know what a Russell Wilson trade would look like is looking at the Matthew Stafford trade. So I pulled it up here. Stafford went to the Lions for a 2021 third-round pick. But the big thing was 2 first-round picks. So 2 firsts and a third, along with Jared Goff, who honestly the Rams needed the Lions to take Jared Goff. It wasn't like the Lions were, jumping up and down to take a very expensive and overpaid quarterback in Jared Goff. That was very necessary to make the deal happen. So honestly, the Rams kind of won by losing Goff as opposed to the Lions getting Goff. We're going to look at my proposed trade in just a moment, but first, our sportsbook partner, BetUS, has a great deal for you guys. 125% deposit bonus. Yep, you heard that right. That means you put $100 in, you got $225 to play with, and all you got to do is go to chatsports.com/bet and use the promo code Broncos125. Look at the Week 14 odds here. The Broncos are 10-point favorites at home against now the 1-win Detroit Lions. Over-under set at 42. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I struggle wrapping my head around Denver winning by 10 just because I don't really care who they're playing. I can't picture them blowing anyone out after watching them score 9 points last week. But maybe you can fade me. Maybe you can take the Broncos minus 10. I'm just not going to bet on this game, but do it at BetUS. Now, for my proposed trade, I've got the Broncos receiving Russell Wilson. The Seahawks, they get a load. They get a starting caliber offensive lineman, rookie Quinn Miners, who I think is becoming a popular name in the offensive line group chats. Belly is just awesome to watch play. Plain and simple. I think GM George Paton had a home run pick in getting him later in the draft. Now, the big haul. A 2022, so this upcoming draft, first and second. That still leaves Denver with their second and both thirds. And then next year, like 2 years from now, I guess, 2023, first and third. So 2 firsts, a second, and a third, along with an improvement at the offensive line for whoever's playing quarterback next. And all for what could be a future Hall of Fame quarterback? I think it's pretty tempting if I'm Denver. But let me know. How about you guys be the GM here? Be George Paton for me. Would you do this trade? Type your I's for in or your O's for out. I get it. That's a lot to give up. 2 firsts. But if you have Russell Wilson, those 2 firsts are most likely going to be in the late 20s because you're hoping you're in the playoffs with Russell Wilson. So are you really going to miss a 27th or hopefully a 32nd overall pick in the first round? Chances are you're not. And you still have a bunch of picks this year, all for, a pretty good load right there. That's why I would do this trade in a heartbeat. Absolutely. Like I said, I think Russell Wilson, he's on a track to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. He went to the Super Bowl in his career. We don't need to talk about that anymore because we all know how that ended. But it's Russ. Come on. It's Russell Wilson. Look what he's done in his career through 10 seasons. He's one of the best. Nearly 36,000 yards. His touchdown to interception ratio is up there with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's so good at protecting the ball. And if he was to, let it cook all season long as opposed to ditching the passing game and going to the run like Pete Carroll likes to do, who knows what his numbers could be. But that's why I would do that trade in a heartbeat. Let me know if you're in. Okay, get down in the comments section, spam it all out there, let your thoughts be heard. We're going to have a nice back and forth dialogue because that's what we do here at the Broncos Breakdown.